Hello. Today we're doing the USACO 2020 February contest. It's the second question for bronze math scientist. So you can stop the video right now and just look um, through the question. I'll explain it again in the video. So basically, um, Farmer John's cousin Ben happens to be a math scientist, and Farmer John um, orders n cows. So the amount of cows he orders is less than one, greater than or equal to one, or less than or equal to 1,000. And there's two breeds of cows: Holsteins and Gurnins. And the order in terms of a string. So like this, the HGH. So the n will be 3 in this case. A string of n characters. So each is either H or G. So yeah, that would be like HGH if n was 3, or like HHG. Um, but unfortunately, when the cows come, they're not in the order Farmer John wants them to be. So there's two strings, A and B. So A will be the one that Farmer John wants, and B is the string that is when the cow arrives. So rather than just rearranging the cows in B to just get A, Farmer John wants Ben to use his scientific ingenuity to create a machine. So just flip the H to a G to an H. So for example, if it was like HHG, then if he puts the machine for the whole substring, then it will be GGH. So he wants us to find a minimum number of times that he needs to apply this machine to get from B to A. Um, that's pretty much it. So the first thing we're going to get from this question is the n value, so 7. And we know that there's going to be two strings. A would be the one that we want to get, and B would be the one that we don't want to get. Like we want to change from B to an A. And we want to see how many times, the minimum of times we need to get from, use a machine to get from B to A. So I use a program called Eclipse. It doesn't matter which like program you kind of use, but if you want to organize it, you can organize it. So we need to first get the values, right? So we'll do scanner.in, a scanner in is equal to new scanner. And then we need to put something in here, right? So they give you here, breedflip.in. So we just copy this, and you also need to create a file for this. But in the later versions of USACO, you just gotta just get the value. You don't need to make a new file. So I have all my files here. So we have breed in, right, and breed out. So you just put the value in here. So this is how we get the value, and then and this is like the same scenario. We need to put this in, but yeah. So in this case, it won't be in, it will be an out. So this part, puts it out, so it's like an output, and scanner.in is the input. So we need to throw a declaration. So we need to import these files. And then we need to add a throw declaration. So now we need to get, the first thing is how long is the string gonna be. So in this case it'll be 7. So we just do int letter, or in this case it could just be n, is equal to in.next next int, and we need to output something, right? 2. So this will be like, you can name your variable change. So how many times you need to use the machine. So how many times do you need to change these letters into something else. So int change is equal to 0 so far, because there's no change right now. And we need to just add it in dot next line. You need to like put this thing so it doesn't like overlap. So you need to get the strings now, right? So you'll do string a is equal to in dot next line, and then it will be string b is equal to in dot next line. And then when we look at this, we want to get the minimum value, right? So you do like so it's like right now the sample value they give us is GHHHGHH, and the second value they give us is HHGGHH. So the last two values, they're good, right? So you don't need to change them. It's these two values, right? These two values and this value. But when you don't want to change this value in the middle, so you just get this value. So now we need a variable called like int preview and equal to 0. So when it's 0, we know that like we don't need to add the change to the second time. So like the preview will be if the preview is 1, and you do the change thing again, right? You won't add another one to the change, because if you do change to that substring, then that's just 1. And preview will go back to 0 when like it reaches this part. So the preview will be 1 when it hits this H, but it will be 0 when it hits this part, because you don't need to like change it. So the preview is just 0. So like, it's like true or false. So we need to have a for loop for this. For int I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. And so we need an if and else statement right here. So if and else. So we need to use like all the values. So it'll be like preview. If preview is equal to 0, right? We need to add the change, right? If we need to change that substring, we need that preview, because if the preview is 1 and we also need to change that substring, then we'll have two substring when we just need to do 1. So it overextends when we need to get the minimum. So it'll be preview. And since it's not an or statement, we need to have a to statement. So it's 0. And then I will need to check if we need to preview. So that'll be when like the I values of both strings are not equal, right? So it'll be first, it'll be a dot char at I does not equal to b dot char at dot I. And this will be then when like preview would increase, right? Preview. Oops. Preview. preview will increase, right? And we need to also change the change value because we're changing this substring, right? So change. So else would be just like when preview doesn't work out, right? So when we don't need to change. So it'll just be preview is equal to 0. And then we need to output this. So it will be out.println change. Out.close and in.close. So if you made these files, you could test it out. So I already put the values in. So what was it? If you run it, so I think that was another file. So if you look here, we get 2. And that's the output for 2. So we could just put it in. So we change this to Java, and then we could change the file to math scientist. And if we submit the solution, yeah, I did this part wrong. All right, so when you submit this, you can actually have a package. So you could was it for now you could comment this out. Um, was it you can just submit it again. Oh, and also you actually can't have a else statement. That's my bad, but you're supposed to have an else if and first because it could be like first is true, right? But then preview not be true. So if you do preview 0 again, it will run through this if statement again. So you'll have double a change or something. So that'll be a dot char at I is equal to the b dot char at I. So you could submit this again. So yeah, thank you for watching. This was USACO 2020 Bronze Problem 2 Math Scientist.